Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Steven Universe Revisit. I'm your host, Trans Panda, currently fronting Marcille from Dungeon Meshi, and this is Alex.
Hello, everyone.
Today's episode of Steven Universe Revisit is Season 1, Episode 29, Secret Team. So should we start with a synopsis?
Yeah.
All right. Well, today's episode starts out with Steven hanging out with Amethyst, and as they're casually messing around in her trashy dumpster room, which is also organized in a way to create large trash towers at the same time, Steven comes across a puddle which leads into the burning room that we have seen a couple times earlier that contains all of the gem bubbles. We have confirmation that apparently Garnet is the only one allowed in that room, so I suppose it is her room in a sense.
It is her room.
No doubt about it. This is the Garnet room. I guess she likes to I'm just imagining the image of Garnet laying down flat robotically on the hard ground and looking up at the gem bubbles like how a kid will have the glow in the dark stickers on their ceiling, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cute to me. But as Amethyst and Steven mess around by doing a big ol' big ol' cannonball into the water of Amethyst's room, Steven and Amethyst end up in Pearl's room, which is connected if you cannonball hard enough, I guess. And it's found out that Pearl, we don't get really an answer for this, but for some reason, Pearl has a rose quartz bubble of gem shards that she, for some reason, is looking at in her room. And yeah, I don't think we're told why, but basically, Amethyst immediately tries to get a one up over Pearl and say that she's busted, which both of us thought she said something like butt stench or something from how Amethyst VA really said it. It was very exaggerated, but uh, intentional pun there. Because of their bickering, the bubble accidentally pops and all the shards break loose. Pearl and Amethyst immediately freak out because, oh no, Garnet will kill them. And I think Steven is trying to be the voice of reason to try to, maybe they should just tell Garnet what happened. But at that moment, Amethyst and Pearl decide that no, Garnet will never figure this out because we just won't tell her. We'll get all the shards and everything will be fine. And Steven enjoys this because then they're going to form a secret team. Then they go across the gem temple. Amethyst and Pearl seem to be getting very along as they get these uh, unpopped gem shards, which are all just a mass of limbs and nonsense, implying that they used to be fully complete gem people until they just kind of broke apart for some reason or another, implications aside. But the main point is that Amethyst and Pearl are getting very along, and Steven is so happy that Secret Team is making them get along so well. Around the halfway point of the episode, the montage ends, and they manage to bubble the gems back up using Steven's new bubble powers, and they just kind of go their separate ways, which confounds Steven a little because he thought that the secret team would be secret forever. Yeah, yeah. Steven basically, there's a bit of a funny part where he tries to like leave his hat at the donut shop, so they have to go to find it as a secret team. And
And then Amethyst and Pearl call him a dumb doo-doo head.
and then they say that the secret team will never happen again because like the whole point was to not get in trouble with Garnet. And I don't think they ever go back to get the hat, which means he just left it there and that was the end of the story. um at this point Steven decides to come clean to Garnet because now the fun of the secret team is no longer there, and he just wants Pearl and Amethyst to get along. So Garnet, being herself, decides that they should form a super special team against Amethyst, Pearl, and Steven's secret team, leading to Garnet and Steven leading on a staged performance where Steven gets in trouble from Garnet. And once again, I would like to compliment Steven's VA because I feel that he's got a lot better. And this was like it's not the most amazing performance, but I just think it's showing that he was getting better at a subtle performance, and that Steven
Yeah,
acts.
Zach Callison really excelled as a voice performer the more the series lived.
Oh yeah, like it was a bit of a rough start, but Steven has a very iconic voice, and he did a very good job. And here, even though he's just like he's playing on the voice of Steven acting that he's like not quite acting well, Steven. Wow, that was jumble of words. He is acting well as Steven, acting that he's getting caught by Garnet for the gem shards. And he is it's not like a very overacting performance, which I would normally expect from these kind of performances in shows. Uh, and I just wanted to compliment that because it is a delicate balance to hit, and I wanted to compliment him and the voice directors for that moment. But even though like Garnet is pushing it, and it seems that Steven is going to be punished for it for taking responsibility for it, Pearl and Amethyst don't try to take responsibility at all, despite them really being the ones responsible. And in that moment, it appears that missing gem shards break out of the water and suck Garnet under it. Amethyst and Pearl try to pop the giant arms that came out of the water, thinking that it was their responsibility and that like it got Garnet or something. But they aren't successful, and the hands kind of take care of the two of them rather easily. And that's when Amethyst and Pearl finally, like, sort of confess, like, that, like, they're both responsible for it, and they feel bad that they sort of blamed the other one. Which is when Garnet revealed the switcheroo that she was doing a secret team, but she was the only member. Which, well, actually, in the future, that might be something fun. and, but uh, the giant hands that were coming out of the water were actually just her own transformed uh, hands that just became giant and snake-like for some reason from how large they were. If you, I believe this was there, but right before it happened, I believe Garnet like put her hands and arms behind her back before the arm took her under the water. And Garnet chastises Pearl and Amethyst because they shouldn't just get along under the threat of Garnet like punishing them or whatever, because they are all supposed to be a team. There is no secret team, and there never should be, because they are the Crystal Gems. That is their team. And they all rip apart the cards that Steven originally used as the secret team club cards, which were cards that you would get a free pizza if you collected enough of them. And
I'm pretty sure it's also for Coffee's Pizza.
yeah, Coffee's Pizza. And they all stand together as crystal gems, and Steven goes, well, if we all came together, you could have gotten a free pizza. And he just looks at the now ripped up coupons. And then the episode ends on that. So, this episode, it's pretty focused on Amethyst and Pearl, but I think this was one of the better outings of Garnet so far. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
because it shows that she can be cunning, and I do think that her voice direction uh, was even better. And like I like some of the jokes that she had, like Steven presenting the card of him trying to come clean on the secret club, but because it's just a pizza card, she just goes pizza. Uh, and I liked how she went even further in on the secret team by going super secret and using her powers in a very interesting creative way. It might be a good time to talk about it, but Alex and I were talking that this is a fun power, but for some reason Garnet isn't doesn't feel as well defined power wise as Amethyst and Pearl do.
Yes, unfortunately, I believe Garnet actually is the least developed member of the Crystal Gems.
Well, I'm not arguing that. I think that like she has a bunch of things, but all of them it's a lack of definition more than not having stuff. It's almost like too much stuff. Does that make sense?
That makes sense,
Like
yes.
so far, like and just from observation, she has the two gems so far. She has the like very powerful fists. She has the stretchy arms, which I believe we've only seen twice up to this point. She has the third eye visor thing. I believe we've also have we seen her have a lava immunity, or am I just like misremembering?
No, you are not misremembering. It happened in the Giant Woman episode.
Yes, she had the goggles thing. So she also is like lava immune as well. So Garnet has a bunch of things going on, but and we're almost curious if this is in some critique of how some people feel about the character, but she feels less focused than how Amethyst and Pearl might with Pearl's holograms or Amethyst's shape shifting. And really, both of them only have the one thing, which is very specifically a power. I'm not counting Pearl's high, like, mechanical skills and intellect a power. The girl has autism. We all know. We all
Hmm.
understand it. I understand it. I have autism. We all know the nerdy, geeky, booky girl who's really into the thing, but they feel very they feel very focused, which I think is good for their characters along that lines. And perhaps it does distinguish Garnet in that she has a bunch of things going for her, but also that can sometimes be a problem in narrative stories when a character has too many options to solve solutions. I said it during it, but it reminded me just that we haven't gone there yet, and like obviously she doesn't solve everything by herself, but it reminded me of it was either Golden Age or Silver Age Superman, where he just had
Oh,
a bunch
yes.
of
I believe you said Silver Age Superman.
Silver Age Superman. I just said Silver Age because I think it sounds better with Superman, but we remember a period of Superman comics where he would just have a power that makes no sense just for that comic issue, and then that would be it. we
Well, to be fair, like, comic books way back when weren't these super serialized, heavy story driven affairs that they are today. Back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, even, I think the whole serialization thing really became a thing in the 70s. But way back before then, these stories were just made to entertain people. The silly one off powers were just a part of the we're just there to accoutrement the fantasy nature of these universes to help people escape, especially considering that these comics, Superman, Batman, came out during severe economic crises.
And that is a very good point. I guess another good point that's very easy to point out is that Superman is the main character, so he's probably going to have a lot of tools to fix it. Looks at Steven Universe. Anyway, perhaps we should move on to the next point.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you wrote, Alex?
Oh, I have a couple of things that I wrote.
Yeah.
One of them
I
think
think
we're
it's
both
good to
going to find
like.
very funny.
Oh, nice. I think it'd be good if we like jump back and forth between each of our points.
Oh, I'm just going to read them off in succession.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't think I'm going to elaborate too much on this. A lot of it you've already talked about, which is excellent. It kind of goes to show how much on the same page we are. Okay, Pearl
Really?
is hiding something. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Because I wrote it in my own journal. Anyway, that horrible joke aside, go ahead.
Yeah. All right, Pearl is hiding something. Pearl harbors gem shards of broken, shattered gems that Jill mentioned. Marcille mentioned. Whatever happened to these gems, we do not know. But it should be obvious to the viewer at this point in time that Pearl is harboring some very complicated feelings, not only about her time in the Gem War, but also about the planet that she came from. And she is the character at this point in the story who is going through the most internally. And the story is doing a very good job of hinting at that.
Oh
The
yeah.
gem shards get released. This is pretty self-explanatory. This is part of the plot.
Is it alright if
Ronaldo.
is it alright if I comment one more thing on Pearl? Because
Sure,
I
go
think
ahead.
it's interesting that I don't fully know if she took the bubble because it's a rose quartz bubble or if it's because of the shards inside. We don't really get an answer for why Pearl does the thing she does this episode, other than like possible observation for how she's hemming and humming like she's at a convention for it.
I'm gonna spoil something that might not be a spoiler, but moments like these in the larger context of Pearl's character don't actually go anywhere.
Oh, well, probably made
I
it fun to
mean,
speculate.
granted, she's already talked about it, but moments like this really aren't going to go explained. I mean, it does pertain to rose quartz in a way, but then there's a moment like this which doesn't go anywhere, really. It just kind of gets forgotten about. I
Well,
mean, you could theoretically tie it into a future character's appearance who we will be talking about in depth when she shows up. But here's the thing, this moment is way too vague and way too nondescript. It could say anything, and quite frankly, the only thing that it accoutrements is this episode. There are just some things that really end up not going anywhere, and this is one of those things.
and I suppose that's life itself.
I don't. I think it's more the fault of Cartoon Network than anything else.
Oh, interesting. Well, I
We've
guess.
already talked about it, but you
Oh
know.
no, yes. I'm just gonna like keep it in the back of our head and just like observe going forward because I imagine that back in the day there were quite a few people who speculated about why Pearl would do that, and they probably went to future episodes working under that sort of curiosity, if that makes sense.
Yes, and quite frankly, they were disappointed because it never gets explained.
Okay. But
Like
yes.
I'm not messing around
No,
here.
I know, I
This
know.
doesn't get followed up in any meaningful manner whatsoever. It's so funny. It's sad and it's funny at the same time.
Just like Ronaldo.
Yep, and that leads us into our next point. Ronaldo showed up. Now, normally I would just say Ronaldo showed up and nothing more, but here's the thing, this character is going to become prominent. Like, not in a super major way, but in a way that denotes him as a side character who we will have to have thoughts and opinions about when he shows up.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad because I think Petey is like the only member of the Fry family that I like. I actually love Petey a lot. It's sad that he was set up to be Steven's foil in his first appearance, and now he basically doesn't exist anymore. It's sad. I'm sad. I missed you, Petey. Petey, if you can hear me, you were one of the best humans besides Jamie. I love you. Okay, and then my last note is this is the only time this happens, which is in reference to something we have already talked about, Garnet's stretchy arms. We have already discussed that Garnet is the least defined member of the Crystal Gems who generates powers at will. The only thing she seems that she can't do is fly.
And we're tapping our watches on that one. All right, let me see any other notes I have that could possibly add to the convo. I did like Amethyst in the beginning of the episode. There was a strange moment both of us commented on where there was a cannonball joke where Amethyst like does a cannonball, but she turns into a ball to show Steven, quote unquote, how it's done. But there is it almost looked like I assumed now we watch these episodes over Discord. I don't think there's any harm in admitting that. But when
I have brought the series legally.
Mm-hmm.
Please buy the series legally.
Yes. And when from my perspective, I assumed Discord had like frozen for a second when that moment happened. Alex had to rewind to go to see if that was intentional because even on their end, it felt like an error more than intentional editing choice. So, but no, Amethyst just sort of freezes in midair for like a half second and then just like a freeze frame, but such a small freeze frame that it's hard to absorb that it's a freeze frame. And obviously there isn't much more to it than that, but it was like interesting having to rewind the episode and go like, hey, wait, were my eyes playing tricks on me? Was that correct?
Yeah.
Amethyst also from the bottom when Steven is going to do the high dive jump, and just from the distance you see her say, "Do it." I don't know. I just love Amethyst. I love her voice. She has a very good voice actress, and I just like seeing when Amethyst gets to be her best self. And
Amethyst goes through a lot, and it's good to see her happy.
she is. I like to see her thrive. I like to see my plants watered, and Amethyst, just like my staff ambrosia, deserves to be watered and flourishing.
Mm.
One last thing, it is when Steven meets Ronaldo, he's just lamenting about the fact that he doesn't get to be in the secret club anymore to the Fry's owner, Mr. Fry. It's just Mr. Fryman. I keep forgetting that. But he says it, Steven says it in such a vague way that Mr. Fryman goes, Steven, are you in a gang? And he goes, I was once, but maybe I could get in again if I just push myself. And he's like tipping this fedora hat that he has. And this is a reference to outdated internet culture. I'm not sure it was 100% outdated at the time, but in hindsight, it is less than stellar. But it was with the fact that Ronaldo was also wearing it, and Ronaldo was kind of an internet conspiracy theorist. I'm pretty sure it was. They didn't say the word, but the illusions of Milady joke were emanating off of the screen. And there's not much more to say to it than that, other than I'm not the biggest fan of the joke. in these days, but it just kind of shows that Steven Universe was sort of referencing internet culture, especially with the fact that during that scene played the most NES music that I think we've heard in the show so far. It felt like it was coming from an 8-bit processor.
Very true.
But yes, I don't think I have any other notes. This was a good episode for Garnet. She reaffirmed the fact that the Crystal Gem should be a team. She kind of showed how she's a very good leader for all of them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Once again, I like this episode, and it feels like it explored dynamics well. So, good on Secret Team.
Hell yeah.
And I believe that's all for today. I could look at the trivia for just a quick overlook.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, the promotional art for this episode appears to be a reference to Charlie's Angels. If you don't know that the team of Steven Universe, or the Crooniverse as some people would call them, would consistently draw like, since Steven Universe doesn't have like storyboard, what would you call it? TV shows when they're introducing an episode could have like title cards to sort of convey the theme of the episode before you actually watch the episode, or sort of get you in the mood for something. Steven Universe only has like the title and text, so it lacks that, but the crew online would often draw their own. And the one, and I'm seeing it right here, is that this is a very clear reference to a television show by the name of Charlie's Angels. Uh, and it kind of also shows how that Steven Universe was a interesting series in that the internet community around it was sort of closely connected to the show, I feel.
I think that's a good observation.
Yeah, I am very happy to start discussing this.
Go ahead.
Oh no no, by start I mean like introduce it into the podcast, because I don't think there's much more to say at this point in time.
Oh, absolutely. All right.
Wait, it says in the trivia that this is the most viewed episode in the entire Steven Universe franchise, with over 2.4 million viewers. That feels like it shouldn't be correct.
I mean, this is the Leslie Nielsen writings, right? That could actually be around the time this episode came out. It was just in the transition to internet-based services, so one of the season 1 episodes would most likely be the candidate for most viewed Steven Universe episode. That does not surprise me.
That is a good point, because yes, that's another element is that is good to jump off with the internet discussion, is that Steven Universe was connecting with the internet so much, but the internet's accessibility it mixed in. I think it's fair to say that the failures of cable and broadcast networks to adjust to the times quickly has made people like us not real ironically not actually tune in to episodes of the series that they release, because we don't feel compelled to invest in cable or broadcast where these were distributed on or premiered on so and so.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We've actually already talked about that.
for sure. But I guess this is a really good emphasis, because it only just occurred to me that a season 1 slash what I still honestly consider season 2 episode would be the most watched episode of the series. All right, yeah. I think that's all I have to say then at this time.
All right.
Okay, so once again, this is Steven Universe Revisit. This is Trans Panda, currently fronting Marcille. You can find our social media at Transpanda Art on Tumblr and Twitter.
Hi, my name is Alex. The Discord will be linked in the description. The Discord. The Patreon patron will be linked in the description.
And
If
then
you can financially support us, check it out.
And then we'll make a Discord, and we won't invite anyone but ourselves to it. And you're not invited. It's a secret team on Discord.
Gosh. Actually, technically, we do have a private Discord that nobody is allowed in.
You're very correct. So really, the secret team was the friends we made along the way.
That is also true.
Well, everyone, it's been a wonderful time speaking with you. Stay tuned for next episode, Island Adventure, and as always, thank you for existing.
Oh boy, that's going to be an interesting one. All right, good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
If I could begin to be half of what you think of me, I could do about anything. I could even learn how to love like you.